was your extensive background in visual storytelling impacting your directorial approach and decision making in this film? And then the next question would be, is there a specific scene that you can reflect on now in which the visuals were particularly influential on the emotional impact and effectiveness of the scene?
I mean, I think it's more of an overall approach. Like, I try to be very subjective and experiential with my cinematography and now with my direction. And, you know, really wanting to, like, be in Claressa's shoes, in her experience, in her head, through everything. So even the fight sequences, I think I, you know, try to be really immersive. I think a lot of boxing films shoot sort of from far away, long lens, lots of foreground, kind of dynamic maybe, but not internal. And in this case, you know, in particular, because we don't have a whole lot of, like, we don't, our antagonist isn't some big character. Like in most, if you look at like the Rockies and the Creeds, you're building up the opponent. But here we have many different opponents. We don't really care about them. We really just care about Claressa and her experience in each moment. So right. I think it was really just about trying to be, you know, authentic to Claressa's real experience, but then to the portrayal of that and really just be with her. And then I guess from a visual sensibility, just trying to take the spectacle of something like a Black Panther, some of the action sequences, and in our case, the boxing, and then blend it with like the intimate, more dramatic moments, and kind of keep a foot on the ground.
That's awesome. Such a great answer. Ryan. Why y'all laughing? Great answer. You laughing at me. Okay. So, Ryan, your performance is truly, truly masterful. You have recently, yes. It keeps going in and out. You have recently received a nomination for Breakthrough Performer at the Gothams. And you recently, I think a day ago, got a nomination from the Independent Spirit Film Awards for Best Lead Performance. And guys, I just want you to know, with the Independent Spirit Awards, it's everybody, all genders. So it's not like she got it for like Best Lead Actress. No, against the men as well, she got it. Yes, we are very proud of you. So can you talk to us about how you got involved with this project and what the audition process was like? And then when you got and I can ask you these questions again because it's technically 3 questions in one. When you then got the job, what was the process like in training for this very rigorous part?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I initially got the audition, it obviously just came to me like any other audition. And, you know, we're auditioning like all the time. So, you know, it was something that I felt like wasn't going to really go my way. I knew how competitive it would be because I knew how special the project was. And especially with people behind it like Rachel, like Barry, you know, it was a lot of people going out for it. So I went in with the idea of just going for it because I thought my chances were low. And I think that actually helped me in the long run.
Of course it did,
you know?
Yeah.
Because I didn't overthink like
right.
I usually do, you know. So, but, you know, Rachel saw something and I'm so appreciative of it. And I went in for the callback and so on. And then I, at one point, had to send in a tape of me like actually trying to box.
So how long was the audition process from like the first audition to finding out that you got the part, and what was that audition process like?
I think it's very blurry to me now.
Of course,
it was like 4 or 5 years ago almost. So I want to say it was like maybe a 2-month process. Would you say that, Rach? Ooh. Okay, well, we're gonna go with that. But yeah, I definitely felt like it was, I don't want to say easier, but it was easier than I thought it would be, because I think I went through maybe like 2 callbacks after the initial audition. But yeah, I think I just was really just shocked and really thankful for the entire experience, and even getting the call that I got it, and I remember crying and doing all that and just not really believing what just happened. So it was a really, really great process, I think, for me as far as I can remember. And starting off, I had to meet my boxing trainer, and we just really like kicked it off from there and just went in intensely. And he was incredible and treated me like a fighter, not an actor.
Wow.
And I think that that really helped my entire mindset of where I needed to go to be able to portray her. You know, it's so important to be able to have that coach and fighter dynamic. And I got to experience it in real life as well. And I think that really helped.
How long were you guys training? Or were you still training even while filming with him? Or like once you started filming was like, okay, good luck and go?
Kind of. And Rachel remembers. But we trained for like 3-4 months.
Wow.
And then I had to go into filming, and he couldn't come with me. And I felt so lost in that moment. And it made me very emotional because I felt like I couldn't do it without him by my side.
Yeah.
And it's very, similar to what Claressa goes through with Jason in the film. So I felt that, and I didn't even realize I needed to experience something like that. That wasn't something that I expected. But it happened that way, and I'm glad it did, in hindsight and looking back for sure. But I trained in 2019, and then the pandemic happened. And then I had to do it all over again in 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that time I also had weight training. I was even more strict with my diet, I think, around that time. It was absolutely disgusting. And I hated the taste of protein. It was just not my thing. And I had no boxing experience before. So the very first video that I ever sent them, I never want to see it again. And I hope it's burned somewhere deep into the cloud. But yeah, it was really cool to see my body transform in that way because it never has before. So it was a proud moment, just being able to push myself in that way.
I just want to give you props as well, because something that we both share, which is pretty cool, is that you started off in music as opposed to acting. How did you find that helped you? Was this a completely different beast? Because I feel like when you're a performer, and specifically a musician and a singer, there's a relationship that you have with yourself, of like the self-discipline and the drive. Did you find that there was things that paralleled that were similar, or did this feel like the hardest thing that you've done? Or you're like, no, still getting on that stage and singing and dancing, right? Because you are athletic, because you're dancing full out.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that compared.
Yeah, that definitely helped. I was coordinated in some way.
Yeah.
But I think they are very different beasts, but I will say this is the most challenging thing that I've done by far. And I'm very appreciative of it. And it's what I wanted. I wanted to challenge myself and push myself into something that was very scary. I was scared out of my mind. But it excited me at the same time. So I think, performing in general is just going to be scary, but I think it's when you overcome that one jump and you just grow as an artist and as a person, that just feels really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about. And I think that starting and singing and doing things that are definitely abnormal to the average person is something that really helped me. And this was definitely one of those things as well.
Great answer. So balancing her tough exterior with her vulnerable moments must have been a complex task. What were some of the most challenging aspects of this duality for you? How did you navigate these contrasting sides to portray her so authentically as we saw?
Oh man, I think it was me truly trying to understand who she was and knowing how human she was. And there's an incredible documentary called T-Rex about her life, or her life leading up to the Olympics. And it was so helpful to have that because it was truly a front row seat into how she did interact with her family, her friends, with Jason, the dark moments she would have, the moments of doubt that she would have. The way that I would see Claressa all the time was being extremely confident as a boxer online and, going into her fights. And there's always another side of a person. And especially with this time in her life, it was the build up to where she is now. And having that tunnel vision of knowing that you're the best was something that grew into that, So it was very, very helpful to know her on that deeper level and from her herself. And I was very fortunate to be able to ask her any questions that I wanted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
she was very open. And
That's really, really cool.
yeah, I really appreciated that. And one of the biggest, I think, things that I wanted to understand the most was the dynamic between her and her mother, just because it was so complex. And I just really wanted to understand it from her POV and how she felt in those moments. Because at the end of the day, you're going to love your family, but there's a lot of things to get through to that moment. And they have a great relationship now, which I'm very, very happy about. But yeah, having those conversations with her definitely helped me just get to those vulnerable
Yeah.
parts of who